Good morning, y'all. So I got the call yesterday that our pig is ready at the butcher, and it was sooner than I thought, so I've got to make room in my deep freezer. So in the deep freezer I had a bunch of chicken broth that I had plans to can. I've never canned chicken broth, so this is my first time, but now I got enough space, and I'm just gonna take y'all along with me for canning chicken broth for the first time ever. This is what I've already got in a huge pot. This is the biggest pot I have, and then I've got this Tupperware container full, so I need to, okay, and then I still have these containers to put in here, so this is going to be a lot of chicken broth. Okay, wow, so this is going to be a lot, I think. I'm hoping I can get a full canner of quarts. I might have more than that, so that's pretty exciting. I might have to can a double batch. So I have all of these jars up here, but I was planning to use those for jellies, and when it's pear season, I like to can a whole bunch of pears. So I'll use what quarts I have, and then if I have to go get more for the other stuff, I'll just do that. So this is the recipe in the ball book. I do not have celery, but I do have dried celery, I think, so I guess I can do that. And then I have onions. I want to add some garlic, so I think that's okay. So I'm just kind of gonna go by this. I don't have bay leaves, so I'll just add what I normally add to my chicken broth, and then I'll just follow the rest of the directions. Okay, so I just cut up 3 onions, and then I used the elephant garlic from our garden. It is so bright, I don't know if you can see that. But each clove from this garlic is huge. So there's probably 1, 2, 3, there's 4 cloves in this, and I used, I believe, 3 cloves from our elephant garlic. I'm gonna add some black peppercorns and then celery flakes because I don't have celery. Okay, you can see this is starting to melt down, and I added all of my ingredients, added some salt, the pepper, and some celery. I'm just gonna bring this to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'll turn it down to probably a medium low, and I'm just gonna let this cook, let those onions and garlic cook for probably 2 hours. Okay, so I just got Joanna to sleep, and while I was doing that, that frozen broth had plenty of time to thaw out, and so I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. I'm gonna let it simmer for a long time. I got this chicken broth from my mom, so I'm not expecting it to have a lot of fat on it because she already did pretty much the first process of boiling the chicken, and then once it cooled off, she got the fat off. So really what I'm doing is just melting it, and then adding some seasonings to it, and then I will get ready to put it in my jars. So that one big piece is still frozen, the rest of them are melted. So now that I'm gonna bump this up to high. I didn't have it on high at first because I didn't want the bottom of the pan to scorch. But now that there's plenty of liquid, I'm going to definitely bring this up to a boil now. So it's been about an hour, and I'm probably gonna leave this on here for another 45 minutes, and then we'll get ready to put it in our jars. Okay, so I have my jars in my canner, and we are going to be pressure canning for 25 minutes. So we set it for 25 minutes, and it says insert our jars, so that's what we've already done. I've got the lid on, and it's on vent, but this stage is just warming our jars. And here's our chicken broth. So I went ahead and turned it off. It is still super, super hot. I'm going to get some of the broth, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour it in my fat separator. There should not be much fat in here, like I said, but I wanna go ahead and get any more out of there that I can. So not only is this separating the fat, but it's gonna get any of the onions and garlic separated from the broth. I'm not sure if you can broth with the onions and stuff in it. I'm sure you can, but I am still a new canner, so I'm just gonna do the broth. I'm so excited to have canned chicken broth, because normally I would just make my broth and put it in the freezer, but now I will have canned, and it will just look pretty on the shelf, and I won't have to wait for it to thaw out. It'll just be quicker. So I'm gonna let the fat separate to the top, and then when my jars are warm, I will pick back up. Okay, so I've got my jars filled, 1-inch headspace. I'm going to wipe it down with a napkin with vinegar on it, so I'm gonna wipe the rims. So I ladled the chicken broth through the strainer and then into here, because this separator has pretty big holes in it, and I was getting some of the onions and the celery flakes in the broth. And so I'm not sure if you can have, you know, like pieces of chicken, celery, and onions in your chicken broth. That's something I need to look into, but I just went ahead and strained mine, and so now it's mostly broth. And this is vinegar in a spray bottle. So I'm just gonna wipe down the lids, the rims, and I've checked my lids. All of my lids look good. So when I get done doing this, I will put the lids on and put them in the canner. We have hard water, so I have to add a couple of tablespoons of vinegar to my water to keep my jars pretty. Yeah. Okay, lid is on. We're gonna put it on vent, pull our latch down, and start the pressure canning process. I still have this much left. Let me see how much it says on the side. It says I still have 5 quarts left. So after this batch gets done in the pressure canner, maybe I will have 5 more quarts to do. I need to make sure I have more quart jars. I don't think I have enough quart jars, so I may have to do pints. That's what I'll do. I'll just have to use some pints, and whenever these are ready, I will show you all the finished product. Yay! So it is finally cooled off. The valve is down. Hey. Lift that up. I have not even taken any of these out yet, and I just heard a ping, so that's a good sign. Okay, so this is the first round. This was the only regular mouth jar, and I don't know if you can tell, they are still boiling. This one had all of the sediment up at the top of the jar, so I guess that's okay. We'll see if it seals. So I've got another batch that I gotta do. I need to get that big pot off of my stove because it is time to cook dinner. I probably should have already had dinner cooked, but it's just been a crazy day. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another round of chicken broth in the canner, and I will show a short clip of the total of what I got from all of that chicken broth. And I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I've really been enjoying my Presto digital pressure canner, so I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.